All right, so since the other video posted doesn't, for these problems, it has the guess and check method, which is a lot less efficient than what we do. I'm just going to do numbers 18 on the even numbers for you guys and model them using our X method here. So, as you guys remember, we have to take these two things. B, the number in front of the R, P, K, or X, the variable to the first power, and that goes on top. And then C, the last number, goes in the back. On these problems, these are the really easy ones. We see right here. So this is a quadratic second power trinomial, 3 terms. And this number in front of R, if there was a number right here, it would be 1. We know that when this number is 1, these are really easy to do. All I have to figure out is what number adds together to be negative 11 and multiplies together, what two numbers add to be negative 11 and multiplies to be 10. I know that negative 1 times negative 10 adds to be negative 11 and multiplies to be 10. So now, when I factor this out, I put R, and then I just plug these in. Minus 1 and R minus 10. R minus 1 times R minus 10. If you want to check your work, all you have to do is see R times R is R squared. R times negative 10, negative 10R. Negative 1 times R. Negative 10R plus negative 1R is negative 11R. And negative 1 times negative 1 is 10. You can redistribute it, and you're going to get your original product. Just to show one time how to do that. R times R is R squared. R times negative 10 is negative 10R. Negative 1 times R is negative R, negative 1R. And negative 1 times negative 10 is 10. And that becomes R squared minus 11R plus 10. That is not something this is not your answer. This is how you check to make sure that you got your work right. On these problems right here, I want you guys to when you do this on paper, I want you to circle your factored form, and I want you to redistribute it and just show me that you got the answer right and underline it. So P squared, we're going to move on to the next one. P squared minus P minus 12. I see that A is 1. If there's nothing there, that's 1. So now I'm going to put B on top. If there's no number here, it's 1, or in this case, negative 1 is there, right? We know that negative 1 is the coefficient in front of negative P. And C is negative 12. So what multiplies to be negative 12 and adds to be negative 1? What about negative 4 and 3? Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1, right? So now I'm going to put P in parentheses, minus 4 and plus 3. This is my factored form. How do I make sure it was right? P times P is P squared. P times 3 is plus 3P. Negative 4 times P is negative 4P. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. 3 plus negative 4 is negative P. So when we check, when we redistribute it, we get back to where we started. So 2 more to do real quick. My coefficient, again, we know it's 1 for all of these, but just double check. So I'm doing the same method since the coefficient is for A is 1. The B is 16 and the next number is 60. C is 60. So what multiplies to be 16 adds to be 60. Or adds to be 16 multiplies to be 60, sorry. I'm going to try 6 and 10. 6 plus 10 equals 16. 6 times 10 equals 60. So K and K. And we're going to go plus 6 plus 10. That's your factored form. I'm going to just check. This is what I want you guys to do on your homework. Your homework should look exactly like this. I want you to prove it in the end. K times K is K squared. K times 10 is 10K. 6 times K is 6K. And 6 times 10 is 60. So we get K squared plus 16K plus 60. That's what we started out with. So we know we did everything right. Now we have one last problem where we have A is 1. So what we're going to do again is we're going to put B on top and C, negative 20, in the back. So what number adds to be 8 and multiplies to be negative 20? If it multiplies to be a negative number, we know that one number is positive, one number is negative, right? Same as that problem right here, right? I'm going to try 10 and negative 2. I knew that 10, the bigger number, had to be positive since it adds to be a positive number. Negative 2 plus 10 is 8. Negative 2 times 10 is negative 20. X plus 10 times x minus 2. It doesn't matter which one you put first. If you put the negative 2 here or the 10 here, it doesn't matter. You can flip them because of the transitive property of multiplication. A times B equals B times A, right? 3 times 4 equals 4 times 3. So it doesn't matter which you put first. This is our factored answer. And now what do we have here? I'm going to check. X times x is x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. 10 times x is 10x. And 10 times negative 2 is negative 20. I'm going to combine like terms. X squared plus 8x minus 20. That's what I started with. So that way we know. I'm going to underline my check that I checked my work. That's what I want you guys to do. And that way I know everything is correct. Now I'm going to swing my face to the whiteboard around. And we have 2 more problems here. These 2 problems here, you're going to want to watch this, not the other video, because I think he used guess and check, which is a pain. We can do it the way that we are sure of, right? So right here, what do we notice about A? It's not equal to 1. So when A doesn't equal 1 like this, we still are going to put B on top, negative 3. For the second, the bottom term, this is A times C. A times C. Negative 4 times 7 is negative 28. So now we have to ask, what multiplies to be negative 28 and adds to be negative 3? Multiplies to be negative 28, adds to be negative 3. Let's try negative 7 and positive 4. Negative 7 times 4 is negative 28. Negative 7 plus 4 is negative 3. Again, it's the same x method, but now I have 7 in front of my x. So I can't just put x minus 7x plus 4 like I did on the other problems. We have to solve this by grouping. So now I'm going to rewrite 7x squared, and this is the part some of us have problems with. I am going to split up this negative 3 into negative 7x I got that from my x method, and 4x. Here's where you're going to want to do a quick check. Is negative 7x plus 4x negative 3x? The answer is yes. So I didn't actually change anything. Not really, because this still, well, algebraically, it's still equal, right? Minus 4. So I split the middle term into two parts. Now, just like I think it was problems 8 and 10, we're going to have to solve or factor by grouping now. So I'm going to group the first two terms and the last two terms. And I'm going to take out the greatest common factor from each of these. So looking at my first term, 7x squared minus 7x, they both have 7x in them. 7 is the greatest common constant, and x to the first is the highest shared variable power. So I can factor out 7x from both of these. When I divide this by 7x, 7 divided by 7 is 1. I don't even need to put that, right? X squared divided by x is x. When I divide negative 7x by 7x, I get negative 1. Now, we are going to factor out the second term, the greatest common factor. Do they both have x? They don't. So I'm only going to have a constant greatest common factor, a number to the 0 power, right? 4 is in both terms. So I can factor out 4. That's my greatest common factor. It's the thing that they both share, the biggest thing they do. 4x divided by 4, all that's left is x. Negative 4 divided by 4, we're left with negative 1. Here's my next quick check. Now that I've done this, these have to be the same, right? X minus 1 and x minus 1, they're the same. I'm going to below here draw two parentheses. This and this go here, my greatest common factors, 7x plus 4. And this go here, x minus 1. And that is my factored out form. I follow the same steps at the beginning that I did, which is I take b and then a times c, and I find my two terms right here. Once I rewrite it like this, all that we do is factoring by grouping, where we take out the greatest common factor. So really quick, one last thing we're going to do, just because there's two of these, is I'm going to redistribute. 7x times x is 7x squared. 7x times negative 1 is negative 7x. 4 times x is 4x. And 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. I'm going to combine like terms. 7x squared minus 3x minus 4. 7x squared minus 3x minus 4. Underline that like I want you guys to on your worksheet to show that you got back. All we do is we distribute, right? We distribute everything, right? And we got back to our original quadratic trinomial. One last problem, guys. Thanks for bearing with me here. 9, this is not 1. 8 isn't 1, just like the last one. So we are going to have a little more complex problem here. These are the most difficult we're going to see, right? B is going to go on top. A times C on the bottom. B is negative 12. 9 times, negative 32. Oh my goodness. 270. 288, I think. Let me check on my computer. I'm getting negative 288. I just want to make sure that's correct. Desmos 9 times negative 32, negative 288, yeah. So this is going to be a little bit of math here. This isn't going to be quite as easy. We might have to see some problems a little more difficult like this at times. So I need to figure out what number multiplies to be negative 288, or adds to be negative 12, multiplies to be negative 288. So first I'm going to take a look. What do I know? It multiplies to be a negative number, so one positive, one negative number, and the negative number is bigger, right? How much bigger? Looks like 12 bigger, right? So that's kind of a pain in the butt to attack. Really, there's a couple different things we can do. I'm going to look, what are my factors of 288? 2 and 144, 12 and 12. So 2 times 12, that means my factors are 2, 12, and 12. I could factor these down a little bit more, but what is 2 times 12? 24. So 24 and 12. 2 times 12 and 12 are factors. This is my factor tree, so I know 2, 12, and 12 are factors. So I know 2 times 12 and 12 are factors. So I can figure out, since 2 times 12 and 12 are factors, let's see, negative 24 and 12, do these satisfy my conditions? Negative 24 times 12, let's double check in my calculator, make sure my math's not off. Negative 24 times 12 equals negative 288. Again, when we have these big numbers, we're going to need to make a factor tree. We're going to have to figure out what are my factors, right? 2 and 144, then 12 and 12. I could have kept going, but I recognized 2 times 12 or 24 and 12 are what I was looking for here. And negative 24 times 12 is negative 12. So this is a pretty difficult one, right, to figure that out, but we can do it. We know the basic skills to do it. Now, I'm going to need a little bit more space here, so I'm going to get rid of this. Let's look at this. I'm going to 9x squared minus 24x plus 12x minus 32. Where did I get these two numbers? Why? From the x method, right? I split this term, and then I do my quick check. Is negative 24x plus 12x equal to negative 12x? Then it's algebraically equivalent, right? I haven't changed any values, just the way it's displayed. Now, we're going to factor by grouping. I'm going to take my first two terms and my last two terms and pull out the greatest common factors. 9 and 24 share the number 3. X squared and x share x. I'm going to draw this here to keep that separate. So 3x times 9 divided by 3 is 3. X to the second divided by x to the first is x. 24 divided by 3 is 8. X divided by x is 1. So 3x times 3x minus 8. Now, over here, I'm going to factor something out as well. What is my greatest common factor? Let's see. 4 goes into 12, right? Does 4 go into 32? It does. Does 6 go into 32? It doesn't. Does 12 go into 32? Also no. So 4 is my greatest common factor. 4 times 12 divided by 4 is 3 times x. Now, negative 32 divided by 4 is negative 8. Let's check. Are these the same? If these are both the same, we can move on. I'm going to put my parentheses, and the greatest common factors go in one parentheses. And the other term that's left over goes in the other parentheses. This is your factored form. I want you to circle this on the two. You guys are only asked to do 2 of these difficult problems for review. Now let's take a look. 3x times 3x is 9x squared. That was our answer, sorry. Now I'm going to check it. 3x times negative 8 is negative 24x. 4x times 3x is 12x, and 4 times negative 8 is negative 32. So this is how we factor. This is how we check our factoring. 9x squared minus 24x plus 12x is negative 24x plus 12x is negative 12x minus 32. Is that what I started with? It is, so that means it's correct. I'm going to post the rules of the steps that we take doing this factoring. That'll be available in a little document on the assignment as well. So if you need to reference that when you're doing these, that's perfectly fine. If you have any questions, email me. Thanks. Have a great night.